Stargate Voyager.
I think we're looking again at a lost technology. And it was this ancient apocalypse 12,800 years ago that wiped that from the human memory banks.
Why were these ancient elongated skulled peoples or humanoids of Malta living underground?
Now I believe we're talking prior to 9700 BC for the original construction of the Sphinx.
And they were what some people have called giants, probably no more than 7 to 8 feet tall. And those giants have been pulled out of American mounds.
Whether it's the colossal statue heads that have been unearthed, to all the strange artifacts you've been showing in the museums, to some of the strange features they seem to possess, the more I learn about the Olmec culture, really the more fascinated I become. Hey everyone, Derek here. So in this episode, we're going to travel around a bit. We're going to start in the Philippine Sea and go to a small island that has a mystery of giant proportions. Next, we're going to go to the dense jungles of Nicaragua, where something crazy is hidden in the jungle. We're going to examine the evidence and try to point to what it might be. You are not going to want to miss this episode. But before we jump into these exciting topics, I want to highlight our upcoming tours. Coming up this May 8th through the 19th, we have the literal trip of a lifetime. It's our Stargate Voyager Egypt tour. You can join me and fellow researcher and podcaster Nikkiana Jones, as well as Egyptologist and author Muhammad Ibrahim. This is going to be an epic trip. We are going to see 20 plus of the most amazing sites in ancient Egypt that will culminate in a private after hours 2-hour-long visit inside the greatest structure on planet Earth, the Great Pyramid of Giza, where we're going to have the whole pyramid to ourselves. We're going to get to explore every chamber and passageway, and you are going to learn on this tour the hidden secrets of Egypt. You're going to see what most tourists miss, and that's all the evidence of lost ancient technology at all of these sites. We literally have one of the premier Egypt guides in the whole world in Muhammad Ibrahim, who grew up in the shadow of the pyramids and who has dedicated his whole life to uncovering the mysteries of Egypt. And again, on this tour, we're going to peel back the layers of the onion, and you will learn the hidden history of Egypt that points to a far older civilization that possessed lost ancient technology as building the pyramids. You can get $200 off right now for a limited time. Just use code EGYPT2024, all caps, and you can go to stargatevoyager.com/tours for all the info. So let's jump into our first topic here. I've titled this The Legend of Taga, an island mystery of giant proportions. So if you are watching the video version of this on YouTube or Spotify, you're going to see all kinds of photos coming across the screen. If you're listening to audio only, just click the link in the show notes to be taken to the article versions of what I'm about to share, and you can see the photos for yourselves. So located north of Guam in the remote vastness of the Philippine Sea stretches the Northern Mariana archipelago chain, where two tiny islands are at the center of a giant megalithic mystery. Located on the island of Rota is what is known as the Neves Quarry, I believe is how you pronounce it, or the Rota Latte Stone Quarry, where several massive coral limestone megaliths lie in an unfinished state. It's amazing to see these photos. Literally, these massive megaliths just lying halfway cut, on three sides. The top, the sides, and all around are cut out, but obviously the bottom was never cut. So they lie in this unfinished state as if something unexpectedly suddenly took place on this island. Again, this island is called Rota. Now, some of these blocks weigh upwards of 30 tons each, and they feature these various shapes. Now, a latte stone is also known as a Taga stone. Remember that word. And it's a two-piece structure consisting of this massive vertical base that goes up and then this hemispherical cap on top, almost like it's a hat sitting on top of this slab. Now, there's 9 bases that have been discovered and 7 caps that were found in this quarry. And some of these abandoned megaliths once stood approximately 25 feet tall. And you can see these vintage photos I've found of explorers way back in the day, like the 1930s, standing next to these massive latte or Taga stones. Now, the indigenous population are called the Chamorro people, and they have existed on the island from approximately 3000 BC, so going back 5,000 years in total. Now, if you research these Taga stones on this island, you'll find kind of the mainstream explanation is that the indigenous population on the island that are known as the Chamorro made these stones to use as foundations to construct their homes. And you can see photos of this. But my question is, these Chamorro people go back 5,000 years to 3000 BC. Did they possibly find the megaliths that were actually made way earlier and then later repurpose the stone pillars by using them as foundations to construct their homes? And again, you can see the pictures here. Now, excavations on the island have revealed that the Chamorro people buried their dead between these foundation rows where they used these pillars to set their houses on. Now, what's the most fascinating to me about this story is the ancient island oral traditions that credit the creation of this quarry, guess what, to a 10-foot tall chief from Guam named Taga, who is said to have possessed incredible strength. Now, according to the legends, as a child on Guam, Taga began demonstrating such superhuman strength that his own father was jealous of him and tried to kill him. So Taga, according to the legend, escapes from Guam to the smaller nearby island of Rota, which is about 50 miles away. Taga grows older and he eventually fought and defeated the chief of Rota, thus becoming the chief of Rota himself. Taga then married a woman and began to quarry the large stones himself in order to build a house, hence the word Taga stones. Now, for some unforeseen reason, according to legends, Taga abandons the site and moves his family to the neighboring island of Tinian. Now, Taga's reputation preceded him, and the chief who was living on this island of Tinian presented several challenges to test Taga's strength. One account states that Taga was so strong he could crush open a coconut with his bare hands. Now, after defeating the Tinian chief at 3 different challenges, Taga became chief of Tinian, where he single-handedly carved and transported the multi-ton pillars himself in order to construct his house and a village for his people. Pretty interesting oral traditions and legends there. What's more, the largest archaeological site on the Northern Mariana Islands is located on this island of Tinian, and guess what? It is still known to this day as the House of Taga, where these massive coral limestone foundations of a massive structure once stood. And you can see these photos again on the screen or by clicking the link in the show notes to be redirected to this article. Of the 12 upright stones sketched by a British explorer, George Anson, during his 1742 visit to Tinian, only one remains standing today. At least we got one. Now, as I dug further into the details of this legend concerning the giant Taga, I learned that the legends took a darker turn. Taga and his wife, again, this is according to some of these other oral traditions, Taga and his wife eventually produced 12 children. However, when Taga realized that his youngest son had greater strength than even he did, Taga flew into a jealous rage and murdered his own son. Grief-stricken, his wife soon died after of sorrow. So full of rage and resentment over the murder of her brother, Taga's youngest daughter surprise attacks her father Taga with a spear and spearing him to sudden death. After losing her brother, mother, and now her father, the daughter died. of a broken heart. The legend states that as time passed and each of Taga's remaining children died, that their spirits would inhabit the latte stones of their father's house. And when you look at these vintage photos of these Taga stones, I mean, very megalithic. They're shaped trapezoidal. They go up like a triangle, the base. Incredible. Over time, as each individual latte stone would fall to the ground, each spirit was then said to be released. And the lone standing megalith today is said to imprison the spirit of the daughter who murdered Taga. And now you know the legend of Taga. I also want to plug a brand new tour that I'm super excited about, and that is our Mysteries of England tour coming June 30th through July 6th. Join me and fellow researchers and authors Hugh Newman and J.J. Ainsworth as we tour England and we dive deep into its ancient history. We're going to see all the sites. We're going to go crop circle hunting, as in the summer there is when crop circles are just randomly appearing. And so we will be keeping tabs on the latest buzz regarding crop circles and literally go find them and journey inside them and try to comprehend the phenomenon. We will explore deep into ancient long barrows and tombs. We will visit the museums there, the ancient Neolithic stone circles, and our journey will culminate with a private visit inside the very center of Stonehenge, the greatest stone circle on the planet. This is going to be an England tour like no other, very competitively priced. Go to stargatevoyager.com/tours for all the info. All right, now let's head to Nicaragua, where a mysterious site hidden deep in the Indio maze jungle of southwestern Nicaragua may feature the ruins of basalt cyclopean-style walls. I remember when I first saw this photo a couple years back, it stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, is that a pyramid hidden deep in the jungles of Nicaragua? Now, known as Canto Gallo, this ancient site is sacred to the native Rama people of Nicaragua, who are descendants of the Chibcha Indians, I believe. Now, Canto Gallo apparently translates as screaming rooster. And the oral traditions state that a rooster, Gallo, is said to appear screaming, canta, at this mysterious site once a year. And again, if you look at these photos, you're going to see people standing next to what looks like massive cyclopean basalt style walls or chunks or sections of pyramids. Now, according to the Rama natives, Canto Gallo is where their ancestors practiced religious rituals and gathered to deal with community issues. That to me is another hint that these might actually be created, crafted structures. Again, I say that because a lot of people say, well, this is just natural formations. It's hard to tell, but I lean towards these being created, especially when I hear that the Rama natives considered this spot to be sacred. Usually when the ancient locals considered a spot to be very sacred, it's because they knew something happened here before them. This site also served as a safe haven where the Rama Indians have escaped from foreign conquerors over the generations and the centuries. So it's known as a place of safety because it's so remote in the dense jungles. According to the Rama people themselves, these structures are known to date back at least 5,000 years. To me, that's another clue. If these were just natural formations, they'd say, well, these were here for millions of years. But the locals themselves believe they're at least 5,000 years old and created. But surrounded by lush rivers and waterfalls, the people who have been to this site talk about how you must trudge past these turtle-like stone structures and stair-like structures to reach the main area of the site, where you see this bluish-gray stone slabs that can be seen piled up from huge, what looks like stone balls, and what appears to be pyramids that rise over 20 meters in height. Now, according, again, to those explorers that have made it to this site in present day, there are at least 10 massive pyramids located in this dense jungle area. Again, click the link in the show notes to go to the article to see these photos if you're not seeing them on your screen now. I'd love to know what you think, so leave a comment wherever you're watching this from and let me know if you think these are natural or if these are just very ancient weathered structures or pyramids. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until next time, keep exploring.